A bunch of people get together because somebody up high wants to know the status, and then they all lie to him so he feels good, or he or she feels good about it, and then they make bad decisions because they have bad data. So that was a very useful meeting. And by the way, 10 people an hour a week, you're talking a $40,000 a year meeting. So let's flush that down the toilet too.
Oh man, don't make it hurt so bad, Bob. Welcome everybody to another episode of Real Agile or BS. I'm Peter Saddington with my wonderful colleague, Agile Bob Hartman from Agile for All. We love answering all of your Agile questions. And today we have one that I think many of you guys can probably agree with this off the bat, might be a little bit of stinky BS, but let's talk about it. Weekly status updates. Is that real Agile or is that BS, Bob?
Oh, I think it's definitely real Agile, Peter. This isn't April 1st, though, is it? No, obviously a weekly status meeting, I guess I could come up with some weird scenario where it makes sense to be real Agile, but I think you would have to say 99.9% of it would be BS. And to me, the whole concept of a status meeting is a problem, right? I mean, if we're doing Agile well, we're supposed to be iterative and incremental. The only status that matters is, what does our increment look like? Are we actually getting value delivered on a regular basis? Are we tracking towards a release that we're trying to make that makes sense? To me, you don't need a status meeting to do that. And here's why. I'm going to go a little bit off script here, as if we had a script. But to me, a status meeting is where we tell each other status. So Peter, halfway through the project, you're going to be 50% of the way done, right? Of course you are. Not going to be real. On the other hand, go to my sprint review. If I haven't shown half the things halfway through the project, we're in trouble. And so I add a value to the Agile Manifesto. So, we've got all those 4 value statements. I add one that says, show me over tell me. Show me at the sprint review rather than tell me at a status meeting. Because I think the tell me world is completely wrong. It just, people are incented to say wrong things because they're afraid of the punishment and repercussions. So, I mean, to me, a status meeting goes like this. This is my way I describe it in class. A bunch of people get together because somebody up high wants to know the status, and then they all lie to him so he feels good, or he or she feels good about it, and then they make bad decisions because they have bad data. So that was a very useful meeting. And by the way, 10 people an hour a week, you're talking a $40,000 a year meeting. So let's flush that down the toilet too.
Oh man, don't make it hurt so bad, Bob. We'll bleep that out. But yes, no, you're not wrong. I mean, that was a very candid and very terse way of saying status updates in many cases are absolutely useless. And this is actually something that we talked about in a previous Real Agile or BS episode around metrics. So make sure that you guys check out that episode around metrics and what Eli Goldratt said, as well as the Hawthorne effect. And if you don't know what those are, you probably need to tune into that, because we humans are savvy. We humans are moldable, right? We change our attitudes and our behaviors based on the metric, or based on who's asking for what. And of course, if it's an executive and asking for status, guess what? I don't want to be burned today. I would like to do my work in peace. So I'm going to tell you exactly what you want to hear, and so you can leave me alone. I absolutely agree. When it comes to status,
I was actually in a company, Peter, where the status reports went like this: halfway through, they were 50% of the way done; 75% of the way through, they were 75% of the way done; 90% of the way through, they were 90% done; 95% of the way through, they went back to 60% done. And the executive said, why didn't we ship it when we were 90% done? And I was like, why did you believe them when you were 90% done? It's like, you're going to get what you measure, and people are going to tell you what you want to hear because you've proven to them that you're not trustworthy with the real information. You're going to punish them in some fashion. Oof. So why even have the stupid meeting? It's just, I've never seen one where people leave feeling better than when they walked in.
Ain't that the truth, though? I think, ain't that the truth, Bob? Like, I think that there's just something intrinsic to the word status update, or those two words combined, that just completely sucks out any type of like value or purpose almost. And maybe I'm going too far with my semantics here, but seriously, whenever I hear the word status update, I literally feel like my soul has lost a little bit of its living, or something. It's like, really? You want to know the status? I'll give you my simple guidance and then we can close it out, because I think many of us can agree that status updates generically are generally useless. And well, we modify our language and our behavior to fit that. So what I always say is, do you want status or do you want something done? And I think at the end of the day, the executives, leadership, they care more about doneness than status. And so how can we effectively communicate to them that there is things in progress, right? Our wall board, our backlog, right? We have visibility to that. But executive, what you don't really care about as much as status is you care about results. You care about delivery. You care about execution. So instead of having a status update, can we invite you or re-invite you to our review? Or if you'd love to, we can give you a mid-sprint review, which can be agile if used appropriately. That way you have transparency to what's going on and not just the status, right? And so that's how I give guidance is we want to focus on completeness, doneness, delivery, and executives. That's, I think, in many cases, what you really care about is, do you care about that it's 50% done, or would you like to see something that's actually done that you can give feedback on and ensure that it's improved? So
yeah, I think that's really important. Is the actual things that are done versus the percent complete is so much more important to me. And the other thing is when we do the status updates, I always ask people, aren't we tracking this somewhere? Isn't there a place where we can just go look at this? Why do we have to go talk about it? And then so this is the funniest answer I got to that question, Peter. They said, yes, we're tracking it in such and such a tool. I said, well, why can't your executive look at such and such a tool? Well, then we'd have to buy them a license. So it was $30 a month, $360 a year for them to get a license. Instead, they have a $40,000 a year status meeting.
$40,000 a week status meeting, right?
No, year. 10 people. Oh, okay. 10 people per an hour. Yeah, a year. It's 40 grand a year. But my gosh, it's like, let's spend gazillion dollars because they're people versus spending $360 for a tool license. That's just, the economics are ridiculous.
Reminds me of the meeting, to have a meeting about the meeting that we're going to talk about the meeting, to set the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah, the pre-planning meeting, the planning meeting.
We'll leave it there, guys. I think Agile Bob and I have been in the trenches long enough and have probably just enough experience to say that status update meetings generically not real agile. In many cases, the executives are looking for something that they don't necessarily truly need or want. They really want delivery. They want to see what's going on. That's where we should guide them as coaches, consultants, scrum masters, etc. But you guys out there in the ether and the interwebs have different opinions. That's why there's a comment section below. So feel free to smash the like button, subscribe, put in a comment, let us know your thoughts. Also, we have a brand new Agile community site that you can find at agileforall.com. We'd love to see you guys there. Until next time, Agile Bob and Peter signing out.